Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Pointless Top 10, a show where we make top 10 lists of the pointless things, where we fly by his pointless statue in Booty Bay, because inside pointless things are treasure. Let's begin. 10. Number 10 is Pollock Swiftsnip, and Pollock Swiftsnip is a barber located in Area 52 in Netherstorm. And I don't know if his name is actually Pulick or Pollock or however you say it, but his last name is Swiftsnip, so obviously that fits being a barber, but it is kind of weird that he's a barber in Area 52 in Netherstorm of all places. Like, I don't know if you've seen Area 52 in Netherstorm, I would imagine you have, but it does not look like the type of place where I would go, you know, this seems like a great spot to set up shop. I think a lot of people need haircuts here. And when you talk to him, he says, "Welcome, friend, to the barber shop. Come for a cut, a coloring, something else perhaps? We can groom facial hair, perform piercings, ink night elf tattoos, and even reshape draenei horns and tendrils. Have a seat and we'll get right to work. You're only a few coins away from a new, more attractive you." And so yeah, he seems like an alright guy, and he's got a bunch of decorations all over that are pretty cool. It seems like his barbershop's doing alright, because it's been open for over 20 years, so I mean, what do I know? Maybe he's doing great. But either way, that's why Pollock Swiftsnip is number 10. 9. Number 9 are Smitty Hammerhead and Pop Soda Slam, located at the Hard Wrench Hideaway in Stranglethorn Vale. And so Smitty Hammerhead is a blacksmithing supplies vendor, and he's just hammering away on this anvil, which obviously is very fitting. His name is Smitty Hammerhead, but it is interesting that he's not an actual blacksmith trainer. He's just a blacksmithing supply vendor, right? So he's not teaching anybody. He's just like, listen, I'm doing my thing, and if you want to buy some blacksmithing supplies from me, I'll give you some. And then we have Pop Soda Slam, who is the food and drink vendor, and I love this name, right? It's got pop, it's got soda, it's like he's slamming them down, right? He can't stop drinking soda. But the problem here is that he doesn't sell any soda, and that actually upset me more than it should. Like, you're telling me that a guy named Pop Soda Slam can't sell like one thing of soda, or like Kaja Cola like the goblins have or whatever? He sells cups of frog venom. Like, come on, man. Although, you know what? Maybe he hates soda. Maybe he hates the fact that his name is Pop Soda Slam, and everyone's like, you don't sell soda? Your name's Pop Soda Slam. And he's just like, I hate soda. I wish I was never named Pop Soda Slam, and I'll never sell soda. At least that would be like some, you know, lore specific reason, but that's why I didn't put him higher up on the list. But either way, that's why Smitty Hammerhead and Pop Soda Slam are number 9. 8. Number 8 is Donald Dealright, and Donald Dealright is a human trade goods vendor located at the Thaldera Overlook in the Stone Talon Mountains. And as you can imagine from somebody named Dealright, he has a variety of items that he tries to sell to you that are just kind of like general good vendor items. But what's interesting to me about him is his clothing choice, right? He's wearing a wizard hat, he has on like a purple shirt, and then he's holding a sack or a bag of something that has like it's like either leaking or it has like fumes coming from it. I don't know what is in that sack, man, but I don't think I want to know. But either way, I mean, he's a very odd vendor, right? Like, he's just selling general goods in the Stone Talon Mountains dressed up like this. I don't know if he's a reference to something. I don't think he is, but I would love if they added in an NPC named Ronald Deal Wrong, and he's wearing like the same stuff, but it's all green. And then he just has a bunch of items he's selling that are the exact same items, but they all cost like 10 times more, and it's like, oh, this guy has the worst deals. We got to go to Donald Dealright, man. I think that'd be a really good goof. But either way, that's why Donald Dealright is number 8. 7. Number 7 is a bunch of dwarves located at Thelzamar, and so we have Innkeeper Hearthstove, Vidra Hearthstove, Lena Hearthstove, and Honey Golden Oat. And so the Hearthstove family appears to be the ones that run the Stout Lager Inn here in Thelzamar in Loch Modan. And you have Vidra Hearthstove, who is behind the counter of the inn. You have Lena Hearthstove, who is the stable master, and then you have Innkeeper Hearthstove, who is, well, he's the innkeeper. I like to think that his actual name is Innkeeper Hearthstove. They're just like, dude, this is Innkeeper Hearthstove. And they're like, oh, what's your first name? And he's like, Innkeeper. And they're like, oh, that's interesting, right? Like, he definitely was suited to become an innkeeper with that name. And speaking of fitting names, we have Honey Golden Oat, and she is the dwarven bread vendor here in the Stout Lager Inn, and that's another one where clearly she was meant to be a dwarven bread vendor. Like, could you imagine if Honey Golden Oat was a blacksmith or something, and you're like, wow, that's a weird thing for Honey Golden Oat, but really, there's nothing stopping her from being a blacksmith or something, right? Same reason Pop Soda Slam doesn't sell soda. He was like, I'm not doing this. And so yeah, I just really like all the Hearthstoves and Innkeeper Hearthstove and Honey Golden Oat, and that's why I put him at number 7. 6. Number 6 is Millie Brewtap and Gina Got Goods, located in the Badlands. And Millie Brewtap is carrying 2 mugs, and she's just standing in this goblin hut with a bunch of engineering parts all around. Like, if you walked in here, you wouldn't be like, oh yeah, this is a bar where they serve alcohol. But, you know, I guess if you're a goblin, you gotta make do with what you got, right? And so she's just handing out alcohol. She sells a bunch of different alcohol, like banana cocktail, bottle of Dalaran Noir, bottle of Silver Moon Port, Hearth Glen Ambrosia imported EK Ale. She's actually got a nice variety of alcohol, to be honest. You would think, being in the Badlands, she would just be selling the jug of Badlands bourbon and like maybe the Hearth Glen Ambrosia or something, and that's it. Actually, you know what? Maybe the flask of bitter cactus cider. That could probably fit in here as well. And then we also have Gina Got Goods, and she is the general goods vendor, and as it happens, she does indeed have general goods. And so yeah, I thought these two would fit pretty well on the list, and they're pretty close by, so I decided to lump them together, so that's why Gina Got Goods and Millie Brewtap are number 6. 5. Number 5 is Frozo the Renowned, and Frozo the Renowned is a gnome on a flying carpet outside the Forge of Fate in Northrend Dalaran. And so Frozo was added in patch 3.3.3, and he was added so that you could trade your frozen orbs to him, and you could acquire things like Runed Orbs, Crusader Orbs, Eternal Life, Shadow, Fire, Water, Air, and Earth, Frozen Lotus, and a pattern for a frosty flying carpet for tailors. It also says he might be a reference to Bozo the Clown, which I could see because it's like Bozo and Frozo, and he does have very similar hair to Bozo the Clown, so it's very possible. But again, I do think it's always funny when these characters have such fine-tuned names to what they do, right? He's like Frozo, he's got all the frozen orbs, he's wearing all this frost armor, he's like a mage, like a frost mage, right? And yet, what if he wanted to go do something else? What if he was like, man, I really wish I could just go like work in the Firelands. They're like, you can't do that, Frozo. It's like against your name, right? Although, you know what? I bet Blizzard would allow him to pay for a name change. He would have to like buy a WoW token, and they'd be like, all right, you're allowed to name change Frozo. And then people would be like, where'd Frozo go? They'd be like, yeah, he paid for a name change. He's in the Firelands now. Now he's Firezo. Either way, that's why Frozo is number 5. 4. Number 4 is Granny Smith, and Granny Smith is the fruit vendor located in Shatrath. And oddly enough, Granny Smith does not sell any Granny Smith apples, which are the green apples. She only sells shiny red apples, golden bark apples, plantains, berries, and grapes. But obviously, I would say most people know Granny Smith because of Crow Threadstrong, the orc who just constantly yells at Granny Smith, and he's just like, fruit vendor, move your cart, or, ha, I crushed an apple, fruit vendor. Now your apples will be sold to others for them to crush as well as various other insults that he yells day and night. But then Granny Smith is always like, is someone saying something? I can't hear you. Fruit? You wanted fruit? And she'll just be like, I can't hear him. So it's pretty funny. The other funny thing is right next to her is this big ogre named Grok, which back in the day, you know, obviously was just like an ogre name. But now it's the Twitter bot. So you just are like, Grok, is this true? Grok, why is that orc yelling at her? Grok, is my brain rotting? But yeah, Granny Smith is definitely one of the most well-known NPCs that's named after their job. And so that's why Granny Smith is number 4. 3. Number 3 is Drunk Drophammer, Skinner Selma, and Bullet's Big Blast, located at Bog Paddle in the Swamp of Sorrows. And so Drunk Drophammer is a fantastic blacksmithing name. He's wearing like a mining hat, he's got a hammer, he's standing by this anvil, and he'll just go and hammer away at the anvil every once in a while, which, you know, obviously ties into the Drophammer name. He also just sells a variety of blacksmithing things like mining pick, blacksmith hammer, weak flux, coal, etc. Then we have Skinner Selma, who's wearing an eye patch with a happy face on it, which is kind of weird. Although she is holding a skinning knife, so that does tie into her name. And she sells a variety of leatherworking supplies. And then we have the best one here, which is Bullet's Big Blast. And he is wearing some like X-ray goggles or something, and he just keeps tinkering with a bunch of different stuff, and then it just will randomly explode. And I just think out of all the names, that is one of the funniest ones, being named Big Blast and walking around and just constantly getting blasted by these explosions. And so yeah, I think without Bullet's Big Blast, they are probably number 8 or 9 on the list, but with Bullet's Big Blast, they get moved all the way up to number 3. 2. Number 2 is Noodles, and Noodles is a cooking supplies vendor located at the Half Hill Market in the Valley of the Four Winds. And there's a lot to like about Noodles. He's a hosen, he's wearing a chef's hat, he's named Noodles, but one bad thing is that he's not actually selling any noodles. So He's selling mild spices. He's got refreshing spring water. He's got simple flour, perfect preservatives, a couple of recipes for sagefish, but no noodles. And so you might say, Crendor, well, why is he so high up on the list? Well, I think it's because he's actually cooking the noodles. So it looks like there's this big pot nearby, and it seems like there are noodles in this pot. And then every once in a while, Noodles will take a noodle out of the pot and just like taste it or look at it. And, you know, you can't actually see the noodle in his hands, but I'm pretty sure that's what he's supposed to be doing, and it would tie into his name. And that's actually one of the reasons I ranked him so high, because if I was the person designing noodles, I feel like that's something I would do. You know what I mean? It's like, oh man, I could design a noodle coming out of the pot. He'd have to pick it up and take it. Where would the noodle go? I'm like, he's just going to pretend to eat noodles. It's good enough. And really, that's very fitting for Pointless Top 10. And so that's why Noodles is number 2. And number 1 are Mulch, Death Drip, and Corpse Dust, located at the Ebon Watch in Zuldrak. And out of all 3 of these, I think Mulch is actually my favorite. He is the herbalism vendor, and he just sells an herb pouch and crystal vials, but I just love that he's named Mulch. I just think it's funny. And then we have Death Drip, who's a poison vendor, but they no longer need poison vendors, so he just sells a simple dagger now, so they really just removed his entire purpose. And speaking of removing a purpose, we also have Corpse Dust, who is a ghoul reagent vendor that used to sell corpse dust, which was used by Death Knights as a reagent to summon a ghoul without having to use a human corpse. But corpse dust as a reagent was removed in, I believe, Cataclysm, or some other expansion soon after. Yeah, I just really like these guys. It's not very often you get ghouls and geists that are named after their professions, but then they remove their professions, so I feel kind of bad for them, because I feel like they were pretty excited to have their professions, and now they don't even really have them anymore, aside from maybe Mulch. But either way, I want to give them some credit, because I really like these guys, and so that's why Mulch, Death Drip, and Corpse Dust are number 1. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this episode of Pointless Top 10. If you want more Top 10s, you can check out zone transitions from last week, or you could check out forgotten NPCs that still exist in World of Warcraft. Also, like the video and comment below your favorite NPC named after their job. Okay? Okay. See ya.